issues touching on relationships and marriages. We are this evening going to be looking at success and failures, whether we should consider them individually among couples. Should we ascribe the success or failure of a couple to an individual, either the husband or the wife, or we look at it from the couple's perspective? We are this evening going to be discussing exclusively with Rev Kenneth, who is with me in the studio, alongside Mr. Sanjeev, who is going to be sending contributions down from Bomenda, Northwest Regional Capital. We are starting with you, Rev Tato. Good evening. We're glad to have you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leo. Good evening. Good evening to our viewers. Good evening to Madam Asanji. I believe this evening we're going to have a great time. We're going to have a swell time to share these things again, and I believe at the end of the program, our viewers would have been edified big time. Stay tuned and stay glued to your screen as we share tonight. Okay.
The first question I will ask you is, do we have collective or individual failures and successes in marriage?
Yeah, Mr. Leo, when you look at God's mind for marriage and what is happening today, it leaves so much more to be desired.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, when we go to the church, for example, or we go to, in fact, wherever they're solemnizing marriage, you see, this statement is very vulgar. People will say, now the two have become one. What God has joined together, let not man put asunder, that biblical phrase. And those who want to make it mathematical, they say 1 plus 1 in marriage is 1. But unfortunately, what we experience in our society today is really is heartbreaking, is heart-wrenching, because many people get into marriage and this identity of 1 plus 1 being 1 is just in theory. Many people are married, but they want to maintain individual kind of identities, individual entities, which is not supposed to be so. I'm not saying that when you get married to your wife, you will become your wife in the sense of the word, but there is a oneness, a uniqueness, that when you get married to somebody, to a man or a woman, the two are supposed to come to that kind of level where they win together, they lose together. They are supposed to come to a point where they work together and they eat of the fruit of their labor together. If marriage is such that people want to maintain their successes individually or their failures individually, it means we are missing out on what God intended it to be. There is a way people get married and can maintain this oneness and move on as a unit. When you are married, you must play in the same team. If you want to play in opposing teams, however, whatever effort you put into that relationship, you will not make it. You must be able to play in the same team. You must be able to see that if one person is in pain, both of you are in pain. If one person is rejoicing, both of you should rejoice. It should not be such that one person is succeeding and is priding himself, taking pride in his success, and say, okay, I am succeeding, and then the other one is failing. Especially when maybe there have been some squabbles in the relationship. You see somebody will be boasting and say, okay, she thought that I'm not going to make it. Now I am making it. I will see what she's going to do. The man will also say, or the woman will say, he thought I was going to fail, but now I'm succeeding big time. So it will now look like there is a competition, of which that is not God's idea when it comes to marriage. God made marriage that people should complement and not compete in a relationship.
Okay, we should complement and not compete in a marriage relationship. So what you're saying is that successes should be seen from a couple's perspective, as well as the failures.
Exactly.
It should not be looked at from individual perspectives.
Mr. Leo, this is my idea. I always think that if you get married to somebody and the person's presence in your life is totally negative, the way some of us look, you will not even make it. For example, let's take from the angle of maybe prosperity, financial, material prosperity. I get married to my wife, for example, today, and she doesn't cooperate, she doesn't collaborate with me. All I will be doing will have, there is a way it will be sabotaged. For example, if let's say I benefit in Jangi, and to me, I'm making it all alone. And the day I benefit this Njagi, I'm married, my wife, divulges the information, tells somebody about it, and I get attacked. Or she talks to people about my movements, and they will lay me for one reason or the other in the course of a transaction. You see? But if we are working like one, it will be in her best interest to protect me. It will be in my best interest to also protect her. Success is supposed to be collective when it comes to marriage. I'm not saying that there are no people who come into marriages with a kind of mindset. And that is why we always encourage on this platform that before you get married to somebody, make sure the necessary profiling is done. Make sure that you do the necessary homework at the level of the pre-marital endeavors, such that when you finally settle with the person in marriage, at least the effort you're putting in will come to build on a proper foundation that was laid. It is true there are people whose presence in a marriage, maybe they came in just to for their personal interest. They came in just to see how they can build on maybe on what they had not had. But if you're married to somebody and two of you can agree together, I believe it has a way of bringing enlargement and multiplication in the relationship.
Now let's stay with this topic. Should success and failure be individualized among couples? What in a case where a marriage is constructed on a faulty foundation, where lies were told before they got married? For example, you fall in love with a nice looking guy who is a fair man. Yes, a con man who does some evil things without your knowledge, because they can deceive. We have seen many cases.
Yeah.
In such a case, do you, as a woman who discovers that your guy is not clean, actually also ascribe yourself to what is seemingly presented as a success when you know that this guy is a thief?
Not at all. I think we are talking here in a normal scenario. There will be exceptions. They will never lack in life. There will be exceptions. If somebody, when you're in a marital relationship, discover somebody's life has a lot of K-legs, a lot of skeletons in the cupboard, it's your role to, one, bring the things that are not normal in a relationship to the dialogue table. The challenge is that most often people like to identify with the harvest. People like to identify with the harvest. There are ladies who know that what the guy to whom they are married is, what the things the person is doing are not good, but they want to, they keep asking the money, they keep celebrating the things they keep receiving, but they want to distance themselves away from the things that the person does. So if you want to distance yourself, don't distance yourself only from the thing the person does. Distance yourself from the resources he brings from the thing he does. In that way, the person will at a certain point in time see that, okay, if it is true that the things I'm doing, I'm feigning for my family, and my family is like disclaiming, is standing away from what I'm bringing to the table, then I should be able to retrace my steps. It will encourage the man to keep going and bringing the money from his scamming activities, from the things that he doesn't do. It will encourage him to keep doing. If he brings all the time, you are taking. He buys you a nice car, you're cruising in the car, but you detest what he's doing. If you detest what he's doing, detest the resources that come from what he's doing as well. But then, over time, I believe in something when it comes to couple life. A good woman can beget a good husband, and a good husband can beget a good wife.
In this case, where either the man or the woman is not clean in what is perceived as their success, either for the man or the woman, maybe they are con men, or maybe they are armed robbers, because you may be living with an armed robber without knowing. Maybe they are cultists, and you say you should disease from yourself. But if they fail in life, should you also, because we're talking about individualizing this issue, you want everything to be shared. If the man is succeeding, you should share in the success. What about the case where either the man or the woman is failing? Should you say now that, no, I was not part of this activity, so I cannot not now say that I am also failing with him?
No, it will be egoistic of somebody whose spouse is failing. By the way, when two of you are married, normally the failure should be attributed to both of you. Because why should you marry a man and the man is failing, and you call yourself someone who is succeeding? If the man is failing and then you are succeeding, bring him into the equation of your success so that both of you succeed together. Except two of you are failing together, and that will now be a call for both of you to see how you can redefine the rules of the game and then come back to the point where you can start succeeding. I believe success is possible. Anyhow, it is possible if two of you can collaborate, speak the same language. Two of you can do the things which one. In fact, the Bible even says that two heads are better than one.
You are saying what you're saying is ceteris paribus, eh? All things are being equal, but you know
that is all things being equal in terms of the fact that if two of them are failing, they can succeed, or all things being equal in what regard, Mr. Leo? Let me get.
No, you are saying that if they put their heads together, they must succeed. But you know that there are persons, either women or men, who are actually very stubborn. You do everything possible. I know of a family where the woman is doing a lot to move the financial situation of the family, but this guy would actually beat up the lady wherever the money is kept. The guy will collect it and waste the money, and for over years this has been ongoing. How do you change such a situation? And now, should this person be failing, do you now say we collectively have failed?
Now, this has to do with you know, coming in now as a crisis situation. That's a crisis situation in which, one, the first of things you want to do here is, after dialogue does not, between the two of you does not prosper, you go for therapy. If it doesn't prosper, then you might be reaching a point where your life is at stake. At that point in time, which we have encouraged, that when if you are in a relationship and your life is at stake, make sure you retrace your steps from that relationship and you manage things remotely. If you remain there and you die, you will not get up and to continue the relationship because you loved the man or you loved the woman so much. When a case where the life is at stake, you now retrace your steps. But then there is something we always encourage people that, especially our viewers who believe in God, whatever situation you find in your relationship, God can do anything. He can change any man. We have had cases where people were that bad, let me call it, people were that bad, but over time, the Spirit of God touches them and they retrace their steps. And one thing I also know is that most often, people continue on a certain path when their spouse gets tired. When you keep encouraging your spouse and moving ahead with the person in the endeavors that he's making, over time has a lot to change in people.
Okay.
Yes, time has a lot to change in people. It's just that most often we get married to people without trying to identify a particular aspect, which I think I've said on this platform, that there is something I love in people. If you have somebody who has as many weaknesses as the person can have, but is teachable, that person can always be transformed from a demon to an angel. But if somebody is not teachable, that is where the challenge comes in.
Okay, that's where the challenge comes in. Let's take the first intervention from Mr. Sanji. Yvette, tell us what she thinks about this topic for today. Good evening, Mr. Sanji. We're glad to have you.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening to our televiewers. Good evening to my co-panelists. Mr. Leo, please let me just quickly clear this out. I am not a feminist. I have never been in support of feminism. I just have a new perspective of what marriages should look like, which I believe is more of the truth that people don't like to hear. And that's what I stand for. If you follow me on social media, Facebook, you're going to see that I stand for the truth. Sometimes it might favor men, sometimes it might favor women, but my intentions have never been to favor anybody. My intentions has always been to make that marriage, or make marriages a better place where, you know, couples can have fair treatment and have the husband equally needs to open up to the wife, share his dreams with the wife. So the wife gets the dream, catches the dream, and runs with it, just like Habakkuk says it. Write the vision, make it plain on paper, so that he who reads it runs with it. So if the man, you know, understands that the wife is the helper, he will open up to the wife, let the wife understand the vision that he's having, and so the wife could better have a way of helping him, you know, bring those visions into reality. But in some cases, we don't have couples that work together this way. Some men might look at leadership or being the head like, I don't need to tell you what I'm supposed to do. You just need to follow me. Now, how can you be following? Except you're a slave. I think we talked about this the last time. Apostle Amir clearly stated that a wife is a follower. A slave is a follower that has no say, has no question on where you are going to. But a wife has a say. A wife has to question. Where are we heading to? Where are we going to? What are we going to do? What do we need? So if we don't have this understanding that marriage is teamwork, and that teamwork starts with the man. Take note, the man is the head. You are the leader. And so you must lay the foundation. You must make your vision plain for your wife to see it, for your wife to understand it. Now, God has already given her the ability and the capacity to help bring your vision into reality. But she cannot help you when she does not know the vision that you are having. Now, so every man needs to have a concrete vision. That's why I say the first thing that you need as a man to get married is not money. No, it's not money. The first thing you need as a man that makes you prepared for marriage is the vision. What kind of vision do you have? In counseling, premarital counseling, we challenge couples to dig deep into their vision. We challenge the man to come out with his vision. Let it be very plain, so that the woman can see it and know where she fits in, know how she fits in. Likewise, the woman too. You know, women today we have career, we have visions too. But if the man's vision is not clearly stated, so that the wife knows how her own vision fits into the man's vision, it can bring differences in the future. So failures and successes will be individualized. In the case where couples are not working hand in glove, if they're not working together, you obviously see this is my thing, this is your thing. And sometimes it comes from the foundation, like I said the last time. What kind of foundation did you lay as a man? What kind of model are you to your wife? She is a follower. You are to lead. And so you must lead her appropriately. You must lead her correctly. And when you're leading her, equally be answerable to her. Marriage comes with accountability. This is where most people don't like it. Most men don't like it. Like, you don't need to tell your spouse everywhere you are, what you're doing, and who you are with. It is part of marriage. You cannot get married without being accountable. And so success and failure will be individualized in cases where couples are not working together as a team.
I'll read one message and I want you to react to it. And we continue with the program. Reverend Tato, somebody says that, oops, good evening, Mr. Liu and everyone in the studio. I am having a problem in a new relationship and I'm trying to build, but the girl is only asking for money. And she's even asking me to open her a shop to prove my love and all. When you call her, she's always online. I don't know what to do. Keep giving her money to keep the relationship or stop. Lewis is writing from Bagante. Please, sir, but I love her, sir. I want to relate this. Why I'm asking this question is to relate this to what Mr. Sanji just said. This guy says he's in a relationship, and he says he is trying to build it. He's serious. But all this girl does is asking for money. Is this not similar to a man who actually says, this is where I want us to go, but the lady thinks money is good to be spent?
Lewis, I want to advise you, that lady is not into a relationship with you. She's a job seeker. She's looking for a job. She's not. That's not a relationship. The best you can do is to see how you retrace your step in such a relationship. We have said here, I think, that before you marry a lady, she is still her family's responsibility. She is your responsibility only after you have gotten married to him. Same also for the man. before you get married, you people still maintain your previous status as before. In fact, before you get married, that is when you are still single, you are your parents or your family's responsibility. So this lady is after your money. She is not after a relationship. She's not after love. So when you say you love her, what do you really love of her? Now, the aspects that you love of her, for you now to see whether you can trade the aspects off for the money you're spending on her, or you can ask her to to redefine whether she's actually in a relationship with you. The aspect of always asking for money, asking that you should open her a shop to prove your love for her, that is scamming. That is not any relationship. So it is for you to sit down with her, have a frank talk with her. You people should go for premarital counseling, where some things will be spoken to her by another third party who is objective, so that she understands that a relationship is not based on money, because such people with those kind of mindsets are those who easily fall into the darknet of cultists, who will spoil her with the money and then destroy her life. It is also good for the lady to see how she can redefine her own priorities in life. As a man, you must make sure you are building a relationship based on somebody that you're going to spend your life with, in fact, in terms of her values and her priorities. But if it's somebody who is there asking you for money day in, day out, and asking you should prove your love for her by opening a shop for her, know that you are into deep shit. You are, in fact, you are entering a relationship that is going to kill you. Tomorrow, when you finally get married to her, I'm sure she will tell you she should pave her way with money and tile her house with money for her to know that you keep loving you're in love with her.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and to Reverend Tato. Please, Mr. Liu, tell Mr. Sanji that I have seen so many men who were ruined by their wives because of their attitude. Not all women are helpmates. Okay. Thank you. There. This one says, good evening, Mr. Liu. Very challenging topic. I'm even confused about what to say. I pray God give you people wisdom to teach us better, okay? This one says, good evening, Mr. Liu, and to you, Reverend Tato, not forgetting Mrs. Sanji. Success and failure among couples should be collective to me, because if two people get married, they bear one name, and to that effect, they should do things as one. Failing individually simply means it's a divided home, already meaning they are doing things separately, maybe to show superiority over the other. Elvis is speaking from Limbe. Good evening to you, Elvis. Must both partners in a couple, must they succeed? Because we're talking about collective failures and so on. Does this succeed?
Mr. Leo,
yes.
There is something about marriage called compatibility, and there are two dimensions of that. When people can, look at very well, it will make a couple to be very strong. By the way, there is no way a couple should think that they will always see things from the same angle. That will be a very dangerous relationship. But when you are at a relationship where the strengths in one are covered by the weaknesses in the other, I mean, it helps. For example, when there is a story in the Bible about Abigail. Abigail was married to a man called Nabal. Nabal was a rich man, and one time that David was on the run from Saul, he got in touch with Nabal and asked for some provision for his men, and Nabal told David off. David planned that he was going to kill Nabal. It was by the intervention of his wife Abigail that David did not kill Nabal. So there are things that your wife will have her strengths in, and this is why we always encourage men that don't marry a woman and start looking at a woman as if she is a good for nothing. It is you, when you say yes, nobody can say no in a home. That is not marriage. You should get to a point where in a marital relationship, you identify the strengths in your spouse, leverage on those strengths. You identify the weaknesses in your spouse, bear with them, encourage your spouse to live up to expectation, or to at least to come closer. And if you can do this within a marital relationship, somebody will feel more encouraged. But if you spend your time demonizing your spouse for this weakness or that weakness, at the end of the day, you will not draw the strength that are in the person will rather feel discouraged. Nobody likes to function within an atmosphere or an environment where all they are doing to you is that they are tolerating you. All they're trying to put to show you is that they are there's nothing to celebrate about you. Nobody will want to live in that kind of relationship. Nobody will be able to put in his or her best. At least there is nobody, and there is no one who has just weaknesses all along. So there are some times where you can encourage or celebrate your spouse that this is the strength I identify in this person and these are the weaknesses. So going back to your question whether the spouses must always succeed, I don't know who is living life not to succeed. When you're living, when you get up in the morning, you're praying for a brighter day. You're praying that today should be a day full of achievements. And when people get married, their expectation is that they will get better than they were when they were single. And the Bible even says in the book of Proverbs, it says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. So men are entering a relationship, and there is the impression and there is the expectation that there is a favor that is going to come their way by virtue of marrying a woman, and marrying that woman in particular. So both of them have an expectation that they are going to get better as they live in that relationship. So what you must understand is that if failure starts coming in, it is something which everybody your system starts fighting against failure. You start fighting against, I mean, psychologically you are not at peace when you are failing. There is a way it plays down your self-esteem when you are failing. So when both of you are in a relationship and you are not succeeding, it is a call for concern. You can go back to the drawing board and say, okay, things are not moving, this is not moving, this is not moving, this is not moving. To what can we attribute this failure? If the two of you are in ministry, to what can we attribute this ministerial failure? If it's about finances, to what can we attribute this financial failure? If it is about maybe upbringing, because there are people who can fail in their parental roles. If it is about parenting, where are we failing? What is actually the root cause of this failing that we are failing? Then by virtue of this, going back to the drawing board, you'll be able to proffer solutions and come back with some other resolutions that can help your couple life to become better and kick out failure from your couple. I think no couple will want to fail. Everybody at least will want to succeed. But then we are saying here that if success is supposed to be attributed to a couple, it should be a collective thing. It should not be something that you're married to a man, the man is trekking. The man treks until his shoes are bent one side and you are cruising in a car. And for the man to enter your car, it looks like the world is going to end that day. That is the kind of thing I want you to discourage in the program today. That if one is succeeding, let it be the success of both. If one is failing, you people join your hands together and fail together so that you can transform that failure into success.
Now, what do we even consider as success in marriage? Because we may be looking at somebody who takes very good care of the home for the woman, who takes care of the children, cooks the food, and does a lot of excellent things in the house. But simply because she's not working, she does not have a good job and a fat salary, we may consider that she is a failure because she cannot meet up with certain societal demands. And same for the man. Maybe the man is doing some excellent well in some aspects that are not quite projected in the community or not considered successful by the community, but acts as a very solid pillar to whatever is happening to either of the party that is financially very buoyant.
Yeah, and it is a very huge temptation to measure marital success only along the lines of financial and material prosperity. Yeah. It is a danger which couples must make sure they stay clear from it. If you measure your marital success, it should be along several levels. Marital success should be measured first and foremost at the level of fulfillment of purpose. 1, 2, at the level of happiness. If you were happier as a single than you have gotten married, it means that marriage has a K-leg. Thirdly, as far as prosperity is concerned, we are not saying that it's not a factor. It is a factor. Thirdly, there should be a dimension of increase, material and financial increase. It cannot be that when you were single, you had pieces of land and you had cars, you had the business, and when you get married, everything begins to dwindle. It means you are in a relationship that has a very huge challenge. And then the community contribution of that relationship. That is how you contribute to the community development. When I talk about community development, it has to cut across various dimensions. For example, there are people today whose marriages are a serious scarecrow to other people who are yet to marry. For example, I've spoken with a young lady who said, in fact, when she looks at marriages of the people that she has been able to live closer with, she thinks there is no need to get married. She's scared of marriage each time she thinks about it, because she observed a marriage in which the woman is being battered, the woman is being treated as a commodity, or the woman is being treated as a second-class citizen. Until I had to encourage her, say, okay, if that be the case, observe this one, and observe this other one, to see whether you still maintain your stance as to it. Is after she tried to look at some other marriages that are positive, that she could change her opinion or her philosophy about marriage. So, talking about marital success, it goes across various things, and money and material prosperity is just an aspect, and is not a principal aspect as far as I'm concerned. We have seen people whose marriages are not as as buoyant in terms of money and material stuff, but they are happily married. They are in their cardboard house. They are so peaceful. The love is there. They are joyous. They can look at one another in the eyes and smile. But others are in skyscrapers. They are cruising in what kind of cars you can think of. But their home is like Ukraine. Their home is a boxing ring. Their home is a place where there is nothing so much to admire. But when they leave the house and cruising in those cars, people think they are really making it, of which they are not making it anything. So the issue of marital success, it has to do with looking at how the human person, first of all, is edified. If a human person is not edified in a relationship, know that relationship, that marriage is not succeeding, is not prospering.
Okay. Good evening to you, Mr. Leo, and to Reverend there at the studio. Thank you, sir, for today's program. I'm learning a lot. I have a problem a bit different from today's topic. Please, sir, I have a problem in my relationship that has kept me worried over a week now. Please, sir, I have a lady that I love so much, and she loves me too. We have planned to build up our relationship that will lead us to marriage. We have been praying about it, but this lady's spiritual father told her, I am not the perfect one for her. Mr. Leo, this has kept both of us worried after all the good plans we have together. Now, what should I do now? Ralph is writing from Ewane. What would you tell Ralph? Maybe the spiritual father has seen what Ralph cannot say.
One thing I must say about it is what I've not known as far as his story is concerned, whether his spiritual father is a subject matter expert when it comes to relationships.
Okay.
To be a spiritual father does not mean that you know relationship issues. So some of them, some of the spiritual fathers, the papas and the daddies, some of them, they say some of these things as an attempt to direct the lady to marry another person of their choice. Maybe somebody who is participating financially to their ministry, or somebody who has some other attributes that you don't have. So the aspect of spiritual fathers saying that or telling people that somebody is not a match, it is tricky. Let it not be that there is an objective view for which the spiritual father is saying so, because we've had so many of those cases where somebody is saying so with a selfish aim, a selfish reason for discouraging a lady from marrying somebody of her choice. By the way, I've often said that when people are in a relationship, everybody's opinion is supposed to be advisory and not prescriptive. It is them who are going to live in that relationship. It's not the spiritual father who is going to come and live the marriage for them. In fact, advise them. If they insist and go ahead, let them go ahead. Tomorrow, if it is biting them or if it's itching them like cocoyam that itches, it is their cup of tea. But at least you would have known that you have given your own counsel as a spiritual father, as a spiritual leader. Or sometimes, if you are seeing some things, and by virtue of the fact that you are, I want to say you are an objective party in that particular case, because the lady is your spiritual daughter, you can send them to another person. You send them to a counselor who will talk with them and be able to point at certain things which they might not be seeing. So it is a little tricky in that this person may be saying something, but most of the cases that we've seen, the person has, a kind of
an interest, a vested interest.
Yeah, there's a vested interest. Many of the cases we've seen so. vested interest. You see someone to get up and say, my daughter cannot marry your daughter. Are you the one to collect the bride price? So some of these things, servants of God want to encourage. They should watch out. Advise them. Tell them this and this are the weaknesses or the challenges I see with the relationship. But if they insist, let them go ahead. You may choose to distance yourself, like what I do. That sometimes if I share with you and you insist on it, okay, I say this because identifying publicly with the relationship means you are part of it. So if you think that this relationship has a lot of issues that you refuse to identify yourself with it, you say, I will not solemnize, I will not. You may say you will not even attend their wedding. It will be that will be your decision. But let them go ahead with what you have to with their relationship, notwithstanding what you have told them. It is up to them.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm Cam Kevin from Idi now. Success and failure should not be individualized among couples. I remember while still in secondary school, my late father's salary was suspended for 2 years. My late mother, then a petty trader, ran the house, paid our school fees, and even bought fuel for my dad and gave him pocket allowance. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I think if a couple individualizes success and failure, then they are still in a friendly relationship and not into marriage, because marriage is cooperation that needs great collaboration, patience, understanding, and sharing of opinions towards problems, and equally during successful directions. Okay. Good evening to you in the studio. I think that when people get married, it's for better days ahead and not for failures. Valerie is writing from Bafusam. Good evening, Mr. Liu. How can one effectively plan family affairs to her polygamous husband? Okay, good evening, Mr. Liu, and to the pastor in the house. I have tried all I can for my wife to plan the future with me, but all she tells me is that I should keep planning my future alone. And also she tells me that my money belongs to all of us and has belonged to her alone. Please, Mr. Liu, what can I do in this case? I'm really writing from upstation in Bamenda. But we have had so many stories like that. The man has to cater for the family. It is said by almost everybody that the woman's money is for her and her family.
That is a very fat lie, Mr. Liu. It's a very fat lie. There is nothing like that. This impression people have given to people that it is the men who are supposed to take care of the family, this is something which people have to redefine. That's an old school mentality. When people get married, there is supposed to be a cooperation and a collaboration as far as the upkeep of the family is concerned. There is nothing like it is the man's exclusive responsibility. Where in a case where you see a woman will be saying that her money is her money, then the husband's own is their money. That one is a lie, sister. The thing you're supposed to do is that you people can, because there are various financial management templates when it comes to marriage. They may decide to agree that they put all their resources together and spend. Another case, they may decide that, okay, the woman takes care of this and this and this aspect of the home, while the man takes care of this and this of the home, and then the rest of their resources they manage individually. Those are the various templates and some other ones. But if it has gotten to a point where a woman is saying so, it means that is a woman who came to the relationship as a gold digger. She is not a wife. And what we must understand is that when you read Proverbs chapter 31, the attributes of the virtuous woman are totally in contrast with this kind of mindset that they have made for people. We encourage men to take certain responsibilities just because they should maintain their responsibility. There should be collaboration. Two of you should be together. Mr. Lord, this is something I want to say. When people keep saying that this thing belongs to them, it is because they don't know that life it has the ups and downs. You may be the one who is financially more buoyant today than your spouse, but it doesn't stay in one house. That prosperity, it doesn't live in one house. You are one house. You as an individual. But there is another day. There is, in fact, tomorrow. You don't know how God opens doors for your spouse. So if in your own days where you were the one who was up there, you thought that you should be the King Kong, tomorrow God opens doors for your spouse. What do you really expect? There is nobody who has the monopoly of success. Nobody. Everybody can succeed. At times, it's just an issue of seasons. There are some seasons that God is going to open doors for your spouse, the one you disdained yesterday, and you will have in fact, your head is going to grow big. You'll be ashamed of seeing that the same man that you treated poorly yesterday because he was not making it is the one who is at the forefront when it comes to the financial and material stuff of your family. The same thing for the woman. There are women who today it is not going. Things are not, the doors are not really open. But tomorrow the doors will open for her as an individual, and then you will see that she too, something good can come out of him. But if in the days where you were the one who was more buoyant, you open up and it was corporate, tomorrow when the person starts succeeding too, the tendency, I want to say the tendency because there are some people who are wicked, the moment they start prospering, they change. But the tendency, the global tendency is that the person is also going to see that things are made corporate. It will not be individual as you were treating it when you were the one who was more financially buoyant. So this thing has to do with a lot of thinking. Think for the now. Or in fact, first of all, think for the past. There are sometimes some women, you know that you got married to this man and he was doing pretty well. He was doing well. He maybe set up some businesses for you. And today things are not moving well for him. You think that you're going to smash him. God will not accept that kind of thing. The same thing too for the women. There are some women who got married to a man. In fact, there are some men that before they get married, Mr. Leo, if you sell them 3 for 25, nobody will want to buy. But when they finally get married, you know, by virtue of the wife's contribution, they start blossoming, things start opening up for them. It is not time for you to start smashing the woman and start asking her the contribution that she has in your life. She has her own contribution. Just the food she cooks for you, at times even do your laundry, you know, participate in one thing or the other in your life. That's enough. You know, at times you see, you come back from work, your food is already ready. You come, she's bearing kids for you. At that time where she has a moment where her orientation is more to the development of a family. Those are people you should respect them as you are growing. You should not say that what are you bringing to the table. If you want to value her material, intangible contribution to the family in financial terms, you see that maybe she's bringing more to that home than you.
Okay, she may be bringing more to the home than you. Good evening to you all. How can one have a successful marriage? Thanks. Read the Bible very well with your wife. Read the Bible with your wife very well, and you will have a successful marriage. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I think if a couple individualizes success and failure, then they are still in a friendly relationship. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Okay. Success and failure should not be individualized among couples. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Please tell the man of God to define success in marriage for me again. I'm interested. Good evening, Mr. Liu and the house. Clovis, writing from Bagante. I have a problem. My girlfriend, which I want to marry, is having 2 children, and their father is dead, and she wants them to bear my names as their father. What can I do? I don't know whether you can help him. Yeah. Yes. Good evening, sir. Please, in a situation where the husband does not support you, the wife, to have a job, and you were in school at the time of marriage, but when you struggled on your own, he then is very happy to spend the money. What should the wife do? He's a husband now. Collectively, it's a collective. It's collective. Yes. Good evening to everyone in the studio. Please, I have a guy who is smoking, and he promised he will stop. Can that be possible? Because I really love him. Laura is writing from Mamenda. It's possible, Laura. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I love your program. It could be individualized when it is to recognize one's efforts in certain aspects at the couple's level, but outwardly it is all their failure and success. Though, as humans, we all struggle to keep this balance. And for Dieudonné is writing from Amanda.
Yes, about
Somebody talked about. Tell me more. Somebody wants you to define marriage, but somebody says that
success.
Yes, but somebody says that he is with a lady with 2 kids. The father of the 2 kids is no more, and the lady wants the guy to bear the name of the children to bear the name of the man.
It depends. It depends on whether the children had birth certificates already, or the woman just wants that the birth certificates be established in your name. Which for me, I don't see any problem with it. But then, I think there is more to fatherhood than the documentation we're talking about here. You may not be their biological father, but you bring them up in a way that there is a bond that will exist between both of you, that will make for that father-son or father-daughter relationship, that tomorrow they will still see you as their father. So I don't see any issue in you taking full responsibility over them. And for the fact that you love their mother and you want to marry their mother, you should be able to embrace the children. I was made to understand when you love somebody, you should love his dog too. It is the children are her children. She will not separate from them. So if you love them, if you love her, embrace them, embrace the children, bring them up. There are sometimes even that we think that it's only the children that are born out of our own loins that are going to make us proud tomorrow. Not necessarily. There are children who may be foreign to us. When I say foreign, not our biological children, tomorrow they are the source of our pride. They are the ones that we're going to use our work as our walking stick tomorrow. So don't neglect the children because they are not your biological children. No, do the best you can. Show them love. By the way, they are orphans, and what you'll be doing at that level will be that you are giving hope to orphans, which is, there is a biblical reward to it, and there is a way you can show them love, and they recognize you as their father and grow tomorrow to be your pride. Whether they bear your name as far as the birth certificate or their documentation is concerned or not, it is not as consequential as the upbringing that you have for them and how you can bring them up to be responsible citizens tomorrow.
Okay. So many issues are being raised here. I don't know whether I should be reading them.
Yes, you bring also the weekend.
I really would have loved Mr. Sanji to also help to come in to provide answers to some of these worries expressed by those who are watching the program. Good evening, Mr. Leo. B. Linda writing from Limbe. I have been in a relationship with a guy that I was so much in love with him. He have even come to my family to take the marriage list. Means we were about to get married. I live with my best friend in the house. The other day she asked me what will you do if I find out that my boyfriend is asking her out. I answered I will just drop him, and she screenshot how my boyfriend has been telling her how much he loves her. Now he's begging me that don't know what happened, that he's sorry. I don't know what to do. Please help me.
Linda, I sympathize with you, but this is what I want to tell you. Give such a man a long time. Yes, give the relationship some time, and observe him very well. And if I were in your place, I'll put the relationship on hold. And then if you see that he is serious and you discover, or you also look at, because at times your friend might have led him into all of that too. So that's why you should give time and do your investigations very well. But if you see that the man was just trying to play between the two of you, like some people do, they double date. It might not even be your friend. It will be painful to discover that somebody has come to the level where he has gotten to the family and wants to get the formalities of how to get married to you, and you discover that the person is even trying to make passes again to another lady outside, which is not necessarily your friend. It will be painful. So such a person, you
it
have
could
to
even be a sister. We have situations where
the
man is sleeping with the sister. Yeah, the wife's sister. So
for me, keep the relationship on hold, investigate, and make sure things are very balanced. If not, if you see that things are still shaky, the best thing for you is that you should make up your mind to know whether you want to deal with adultery tomorrow if you marry him or not, because such a person will tend to cheat when he finally gets married.
Yes, tricky one there. And the two shall become one. When a partner starts talking about I or me, it is a sign of failure in a relationship or marriage, and failure so successes can be individualized. However, if the couple works as a team, then there is no reason to individualize successes or failures, and vice versa. Abel is writing from Makenene. Good evening, Mr. Liu and Danny. Michael writing from Ginicom. I'm in a relationship with this girl doing nursing in Bamenda. I have been asking her that I hope, as she is from a different church, Baptist, and I'm from a Catholic, that when we get married, she'll follow me. She keeps telling me she can't. What should I do? I also try by supporting her in school, but when she comes online, she can't drop or leave me a text message. She always asks me money. I try to meet up with her needs, paying of her internship fees. Times when she is sick, I send her money to go on consult, but now she even care less to call nor text me, but she is always going online. Please advise me on what to do. I've already told her that I want her to be my life partner. I have even tried to engage her, but she said I should not rush, but still yet I'm not really okay because she might change during her graduation. These are red flags now?
Yeah, those are serious red flags. And what I want to tell you is that when you are spending on a woman at the premarital level, put in your mind that you are an NGO. You are not spending because you get married to this lady. The lady may change her mind tomorrow. Even if the law places a responsibility on her to return whatever she has taken from you in contemplation of marriage, you must make sure that you are just helping. One. Then two, in relation to what the lady is doing, if you are in a relationship with somebody, you've already asked the person and the person is not communicating, it's a red flag. Thirdly, always asking for money yet not reciprocating with her presence, it is a red flag. Make sure you talk terre-à-terre with the lady, frank talk. If the person does not want to change her way of functioning with you, the best thing I can advise you is that you back out from such a relationship. There are some of these things when you keep saying and you are mincing words and you're trying to make sugarcoat and in fact they don't turn out well. That's what we've seen. And now a lady who has accepted, because if I get it well, maybe you've asked her hand in marriage and then she has accepted. You want to step up the processes and she says you should not rush. Already that's a sign that she is not set in her mind whether she wants you. It's not about when she wants to get married, because if that she is not prepared for marriage, why was she accepting your proposal?
Collecting
money, collecting money, and yet coming online, I will not want to talk with you. For me, there is already a very serious red flag on it. There are some of those things that, however you love somebody, you should be able to take some decisions that are going to keep your own emotional health intact. Nobody wants to spend tomorrow and then you invest your love in somebody tomorrow and tomorrow you have a heartbreak.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm Hyson Kam from Yaoundé. They ask Reverend if a Christian can get married to a woman that has already given birth. What is the crime in that? Is it sinful?
No, it's not sinful. It depends on what. There are some people who will not want it, not because they are Christians or not Christians. They will not just want somebody who has given birth to a child for several reasons. Maybe for the jealousy part of it, and two, for the fact that they are afraid the father of the child may be coming back towards them, towards the lady, and it may cause problems in the relationship. And thirdly, for the fact that they are afraid of taking responsibility over the child. So this has nothing to do with Christianity. You may want to, to just check inside of you whether you'll be able to embrace it at the level of jealousy, at the level of responsibility, and the other things, and managing the relationship with the presence of somebody who will, because you will not, the father of the child is already there. You will not separate him from his child for life. He may want to send some, financial support and so on. So those are things you think you have to deal with. So if you are refusing that you don't want to marry for these reasons, it is okay, but it doesn't have to do with you being a Christian or a non-Christian.
Okay, let's move over to Bomenda. Take another listen to Ms. Sanji educate our audience on the topic under review this night.
Mr. Leo, you get to see that most men don't like no. They don't like failure. And so sometimes they want to work out certain things by themselves until when they are very sure that it is going to be successful before they are telling their wife. But it is not supposed to be so. She's not just there for you to celebrate success or to know something when it's about to be successful. From the initial idea of it, if you cannot share it with your spouse, something is not right. But most men believe that no, my wife might not respect me if I fail about this. My wife might look at me like a failure if I begin to share the ideas when the ideas are not ripe. Take note, she's there as a helper. Honestly, you might be surprised the kind of ideas she might have to contribute to what you already have. She might have wonderful ideas. I mean, laudable ideas that can take that vision that you are having to the level that you never even thought of it. That's why they say two heads are better than one. But of course, it matters the kind of head, because two coconut heads can never be best. Okay, so men should, I think we want to encourage men here to work with their wives. It starts with, I always say it starts with a leader. A leader who works with his workers will not have a problem, the workers struggling or working with him. But if you see a worker having it difficult to work with the boss has not made, he has not paved the way for that work relationship to flow smoothly. So husbands should not always tell their wives what is about to be successful. Feel free to share your ideas from the initial perspective of it. Some men would prefer to share it with their friends or share it with their family. Then when it's about getting right now, they now tell the wife. The wife is coming in when every other person had already known. Now this can now make you begin to question, like, is she really your teammate? Are you on the same team? Who should know your ideas as the first person? Who should, support you, stand by you? It is not supposed to be your parents. It's not supposed to be your friends. The first immediate person that you're supposed to work with is your wife, is your spouse. So I am trying to help. I believe in marriages becoming better, and it can only become better with transparency. That's what I stand for. I always believe so much in working together, being transparent, doing that which you want your spouse do to you. So that's why you see I'm talking about the men. I'm looking at them from the perspective of not just the title that they were given, but they're acting in that capacity. Now, if you look at leadership today, in those days, leadership was more of dictatorship. But it's not the case today. A lot of leadership seminars and entrepreneurial stuffs have come up, and it's changing the narrative. Even at the job site, you see that at first, when you say somebody is a boss, he says yes, nobody says no. I mean, that's how the leadership in those days. But today is different. You see that a boss will even call workers, work with them, ask their ideas, because people can have wonderful ideas that can take your vision go forward. But you'll never know it unless you give that room for learning. Being the boss does not mean that you cannot learn from others. I am mentoring a good number of people all over the world that I've trained. But guess what? Sometimes I am like, okay, it is my time to learn. And I sit and I learn from them. They have wonderful ideas that they share, and which I also learn. Nobody knows everything. Learning is a continuous thing. So what I'm trying to say here is that if you look at leadership in those days, leadership was more of dictatorship. Leadership was more of the number of hours spent at work. Today, leadership is more of the number of hours you work, not spend at work, because you can spend a good number of hours at work, but whereas you were not doing anything. So you see that leaders today, we even when you employ people under you, you don't put them under the pressure of like, they must answer present at work at the maybe early hours, then close at the appropriate time. But if you are a smart leader, you might want to consider more of the work, the hours that has been put in work, not necessarily hours that has been spent at work. And so even in marriage, leadership has changed. It is not anymore the man telling the wife, hey, stand here, hey, sit down there, hey, do this. But rather, drawing the wife closer, and they're working as a team. Drawing the wife closer, building friendship, and working together as a team. That is what marriages are now, and that's what marriages are supposed to be. So that we don't individualize success or individualize failures. I'll be coming back to give my last conclusion on this, Mr. Leo.
Listening to Mr. Sanji talk, one gets the impression that the bigger responsibility is for the man to show the guide and for the woman to follow, strictly using the example of the boss who gives the directives for people to. Is it necessarily so? We have so many great bosses that would show the way, but very difficult for the guys working under him or her to follow. The same happens for marriage.
It's very true, Mselio. It's very true. It's true that there are some of these things that fall in place with time, but there are people who are just difficult. They just have difficult character. They won't want to cooperate, and at times this can even be people who enter the relationship with an agenda. There are people who enter relationships with agendas. Some enter with an expectation which is not being met. You just decide to make life difficult for everybody, and just just create a lot of cacophony all around. So this is tricky. There is a way it comes around, and one thing people must understand is that when you are in a relationship, the best you can do is that you make sure you make yourself available and you make life worth living for your spouse. There is a boomerang effect. It comes around to also touch you. If you make life very difficult and the person also wants to stifle things, at the end of the day you discover that life is difficult for both of you, not just for the person. You don't have monopoly in making things difficult for people. There are people around you also who can also make things very difficult for you. So the best thing we do in relationships is that we try to make life worth living for your spouse. There is something a man would like to have in a relationship, which is peace. If the man has peace in that relationship, at least there is much he's going to do. He's going to overlook some of the faults and the issues that are in the relationship. And if he's being disrespected, he doesn't have peace, he comes back after a long day and has these challenges, it's not going to be easy for him to just align with some of the things that you have as expectations within the relationship. Then, Mr. Leo, I just want to add to the response I gave to one of our viewers who asked the question. He talked about church, that he is a Baptist or that he's a Catholic, and he has been asking the lady whether when they get married she's going to move from the Baptist church to the Catholic church, and the lady has been resisting. These are some of the things that appear very innocent at the premarital level, but we also encourage that people should handle them before they end up tying the knot or before they take superior engagements within the framework of that relationship. It looks like an innocent thing, but it can cause untold harm and tension in a relationship. So what to do is this: agree on it. In principle and by default, when a woman marries a man, she is supposed to follow the man to his church. However, the goal of the couple is supposed to be an agreement as to where they prayerfully trust the Holy Spirit to lead them to attend church. 1. 2, they are supposed to look at the theology, the doctrine of that church that they want to go and attend, which of them can build them more spiritually. 3, where can they, in fact, by virtue of convenience and other factors, where can they serve God and prepare for the return of Jesus with more ease? So if all of these factors are put in place, you can, as a man, relax the protocol of the fact that it is the woman who is supposed to follow you. So you should discuss on it. The aspect of saying that since you are a man who is from the Catholic Church, the woman must follow you there. Please, that is not a serious point that you have to take. And for the woman too to be resisting. So two of you should dialogue on it. And I advise that for you people to take superior steps in that relationship. Please handle it. Tomorrow it may not look as innocent as it looks now, that is just church attendance. And at a certain point in time, some people say, no, everybody should go to his own church, to attend his own church. It may not be as smooth as it appears or not. But if you people think you can manage it that way, it's an option though. It is up to you people to see whether you can manage it that your wife attends a different church, you attend a different church, or in fact tomorrow it may cause a lot of difficulties for you.
Okay. This one says, good evening, Mr. Liu and Reverend. You are doing a wonderful job. My wife abandoned the marital home 10 years ago. Is it normal for me to get another wife? Sone, writing from Tombe. Just take note of that one. Good evening. I really would have loved to get the response from Mr. Sanjay on some of these topics. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I need your help. What about a woman who decided to go out with men, saying that her husband is going out with girls? Advice these couples. Elvis is writing from Limbe. Okay, the woman is also cheating because the man is cheating. Good evening. In the media house, I am new here and I have been following the program for some time now, and I have a problem as well. there is a lady I dated for 2 years. On the bridge of us getting married, she spent in the cost of the relationship, and I did also, and now finally we both can't get married again. When gave me a bill to pay her back of everything she spent during the relationship. And Prince Will from Ewane, please, I need your advice following this program. On the bridge of us getting married, she spent in the course of the relationship, and I did also. Okay, so they both spent, but the lady says whatever she put in, the man should give it back. Good evening in the house. I'm so grateful for the program. Please, I need help. I had a boyfriend and he promised me marriage. So when I get there, one day he wanted sex, so I said no, and he was like he can't get married to the girl when without having sex with her. Weeks later, I saw him and my friend posting love videos on WhatsApp. Glory is writing from Bingo. It means he was cheating on her because she refused to have sex.
Yeah, although this term cheating, for me, is usually a bit challenging to talk about when people are not yet married.
Okay, when they are not yet married.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's already a red flag now.
It's a red flag, a very serious. It's just the fact that he was asking for sex. It's a red flag.
And because you refuse, he's now sleeping with
you. He now goes to sleep with your friend. For me,
okay.
if I were Glory, I would just carefully walk away from such a relationship.
Okay.
Let him remain.
Good evening, Media House. Okay, this guy now who says that the guy from Ewane, the Prince Will, that they were in a relationship. He spent, and the lady also spent, but they ended up not getting married. And now the lady says he should reform.
Yeah, it is childish on the part of the lady. One, then two, on the platform of the law requires that if two of you, I think we have said this here before, if two people are in marriage, and then there is an exchange of gifts in contemplation of that marriage, both of you, or the person who received the gift, is called a depository. You call a depository, and if the marriage does not hold, by law you are liable to reimburse whatever you collected in contemplation of marriage.
That's for the case of the man.
Both
Okay.
ways. That is, anybody who receives something in contemplation of marriage. If the woman gave the man, or if the man gave the woman,
because
the one who received is called a depository. Yeah, because they are contemplating marriage.
Okay.
Yes, it's called a depository, and the Bible and the law says if the marriage does not hold, you are supposed to refund whatever you collected.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leo. I need your help. Or what about a woman who decided to go cheating with other men because the man was cheating also?
Well, if it is true that the man cheated, then it means that that home needs a healing process, because cheating is not a monopoly a monopoly action for the men. If the man was also cheating and the woman is cheating, it's for two of them to come back to the drawing board and say, how can we be living like animals? It's better we come back to ourselves and try to heal our home from this spell of immorality.
I have my girlfriend and she is cheating with my best friend. What should I do? Precious is writing from Chang. Precious. Is cheating with your best friend and you're asking what to do.
And well, such a question, I don't know. It's like you are passing your responsibility to somebody, Precious. You know what to do. Okay. What to do is that if you are not comfortable, yeah, it's a red flag. Okay. You back out of the relationship and not stay in and be hurting. Cheating with your best friend, you show that person is a murderer.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu and man of God. From the case you just addressed, I think the late man came from a family. Therefore, the man should welcome the children but should not adopt them because they have a paternal family. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm Shea Achiris, writing from Kumbo. If you married a woman and she said that her money is yours, therefore there is no love. Okay? Greetings, Mr. Liu. It's Rita writing from Moment. I fell in love with this guy and we started a very serious relationship which was already leading to marriage, but along the line, his ex-girlfriend told him she is pregnant, which could affect his job if he did not marry her. So we separated, and along the line the girl had a miscarriage and he came back to me claiming I am the one he loves. But my problem now is that he had already discussed about getting married to the parents of that girl and his parents too, but keeps telling me that he feels empty when he is with that girl because he loves me and I love him too. Please, I need help. What can I do? Please, can you just write to me after the program? Since you are in Bamenda, I will share Mr. Sanjay's number with you.
Yeah.
You will go and meet her. She will talk with you, but be reminded that counseling is not for free. Ask for Mr. Sanjay's number after the program. I'll send it to you. You'll go and meet her. Good evening in the house. I'm so grateful for the program. Please, I need help. I had a boyfriend and he promised me marriage. So when I get there, one day he wanted sex. Okay, I'm sure I read that already. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm called Karen from Douala. I have a man that I have been dating for 10 years. But this man is making people to know I'm his wife, but is unable to marry me. I am 36 years old. Time is not on my side. The man doesn't allow me to go out or visit friends or family. This man gave me a job as a friend, but I am afraid to tell the man I don't want this relationship because he is wasting my time. Please, say I don't know what to do. I'm confused. Yeah. She should not be confused.
You should not be confused. The man is working a very serious manipulation on your emotions there. If he loves you to marry you, he should marry you. If not, you walk away, even if it means losing the job. Except you think the job is more important for you than marriage, so it has to do with your priorities as well.
Okay. So, so many persons are in problems here.
Yeah, a lot of issues. This relationship stuff is
yes,
a lot of issues.
So many uncertainties. There is a lot of cheating out there, both at the level of the marriage and the single. There's a lot of uncertainty on broken promises. Many persons are confused. Is marriage getting the more banalized today?
Well, I think the major issue is today's society has really brought marriage to where we are. A lot of, in fact, the mindset of the people has shifted to the negative. If people could really reshape their mindsets, this is something that God created, and it is a very good thing. Marriage is nice. The issue is that when people enter into it, one, with selfish interest, two, when people make their expectations too big, too large, when our expectations are too wild, it will be difficult for them to be met. And this is something that parents should also learn as far as parenting is concerned. When you're bringing up a child, make sure that the kind of appetites you culture in the child and the kind of expectations you're building in the child are such that they are not too big that they will not be met in marriage tomorrow. That is one of the key issues that I have discovered that is causing problems. Imagine that a girl child grew and had all this affection from the father. The moment she coughs, the father has removed the money. The moment she does this, everything is available. She is in a home where there are housemates everywhere, and she doesn't get involved in house chores and many other things put together. Tomorrow she gets married to a man who is not as caring, let me say, as the father, who is not there to remove money at her beck and call. The lady will face problems in the relationship. She will have her own home to bring up. She'll have her own home to cater for. But if she did not grow up in a way she's involved in house chores, she learned the necessary cooking skills, she learned how to keep the home and all, tomorrow she will be in trouble. So don't show love to your children that is going to turn out negative for them tomorrow. Relationships are actually in trouble. So we should participate. Start building them from the very low level. Preparing your boy child and your girl child for marriage. The boys should be taught that men are men because they are responsible.
They're supposed to love.
They are supposed to love and are responsible to their families. Women should be taught that women are women because they are submissive and respectful and are supportive to their husbands. If all of these are put together, I think most of these things we are seeing are going to, it's like there is, these helicopters that sprays banana at CDC. It looks like there is a kind of ill wind that has just been spread in society. When you turn left or turn right, what you are hearing about relationships is just bad news, bad news, bad news. But it doesn't mean that there are no good relationships out there. There are good relationships. You can draw inspiration from the other ones. There are things that if you hear about relationships, it is going to really drain you. They suck. Honestly, they suck. But there are other people whose marriages and relationships are a model. You can go close to these ones. Draw inspiration from them. Then, One of the things that is also a major problem, which is in fact the central problem, is that God has been taken out of marriage. People are getting married today in fact, using different templates from what God made marriage to be. If biblical principles are brought back into our marriages are going to regain the health that it's supposed to have. Marriages are suffering because God, who is the author, the manual he gave for marriage is the Bible. He is the author, and people have decided to adopt different strategies or different principles into marriage. That's why we are here today. You look at the Western world today, we are hearing about same-sex marriages, which were not there. We're hearing of marriages, contract marriages. People can sign a contract of marriage for say 5-10 years, and at the end of it everybody goes his own way. These are not things that God made. The easy way with which people get into separation and divorce today, that is not God's idea. God did not make marriage to be so that people just divorce the way we are seeing today. But it's because all of these things have come, modernity with technological advancement, all of these things have come and have really sabotaged this institution, a sacred institution that God put in place, which is called marriage. And it is really unfortunate. We must have to put our hands on deck. We have to return every strata of society. The government has to do its homework, the church has to do its homework, the family units have to do its homework as well. People should not allow their children to go into marriage because there are some interests, there's some vested interest in them. We have had people who have sent they have forced their girl child to enter into marriage because the man is somebody who spends on the family. Tomorrow your daughter will be suffering in the relationship because you saw her out like a goat, which are the kind of things which we really should avoid as far as relationships are concerned today.
Okay. Yeah, but do we have cases where one of the partners actually work as the key factor in destroying the efforts of another? Because we are talking about collective success, collective failures. But do we have cases where you see either the woman or the man working so hard to succeed and the other is working so hard to bring them down, to destroy them? Very true,
Mr. Leo. We have had a case where a lady, she practically destocks the shop of the husband.
Okay.
Yes. The man is selling things. She will have the effort to go and stand and collect things for 50,000, which is not up to the profit that the man makes a day. So there are people like that. So when we are talking about collectivity, as I said from the onset, it is the general norm. The general norm is like that. But there are cases where in fact, I sitting here, I have advised that people should try to build a hedge around their stuff from their spouse when the spouse became a hawk on the things. For example, I spoke recently with a lady. This is what happened in their couple life. They had some financial difficulties, and it was towards school resumption. The woman was like, okay, how do we do to get these children go back to school? The man was not saying anything. How do we do to get these children go back to school? The man was not saying anything. So she hustled around, got some money, and hid it from the husband. The husband was concentrating more on seeing how she can repair his car. So in such a case, do you think the woman should align with the man because you are encouraging corporate action? No. The woman's own priority here is what makes sense, the education of the children. But the man's own priority is his car so that he can be driving in and feeling big. So in such a case, how can you really get people to work together? And the Bible says in the book of Amos, how can the two work together if they be not agreed? If there be no agreement, it will be difficult for this corporate action to take center stage in a home. People must be able to agree. And to agree, there's need for them to define their values from the onset of the marriage. Let your values be defined. And if you are getting married to somebody and you people don't see how you harmonize your values, some of these things come up. The best thing is, before you get married, before you say yes to somebody, make sure that there is at least a uniformity in your values. If your values are so asymmetrical, if they don't agree, if they are so divergent, if their values are just so opposing, in fact, that is not a marriage to enter into. Else, tomorrow you are going to spend your time trying to fix things that have gotten bad. Then, the growth process. There are some people who, before they get married, they had a certain mindset. But within the growth process, they changed their mindset, they changed the way they're acting. Such a thing also is something that you now have to see how to manage with a lot of wisdom. You will not divorce your husband because he is misusing money. You won't divorce your husband or your wife because she is maybe she is careless with stuff in the house. But then those are some of the things that will bring a lot of tension in the home. So how do you go about it? We have encouraged people that when it is not moving well within your couple life, dialogue, talk with one another, talk with your spouse to say, discuss, say this and this is not moving well in our home. If two of you have tried handling it and it is not going, the next thing we always encourage is go for therapy. Get a subject matter expert that can talk with two of you. The issue is when it is two of you discussing, the tendency will be for the person to, one person, in fact, each of you will think that you are so right. The husband thinks he has a point, the woman thinks he has a point. So at the end of the day, there is need for an objective third party who will tell you, this person, you didn't do it well, you didn't do it, or this is how it's supposed to do by virtue of giving general counsel, because during counseling, it will not always be like it's a court session. They will give people general counsel. And if you are actually passionate about the health of your home, you want to backtrack on the things that you are doing which are not fine. If not, how can you get married to somebody and then you think you live only in pain? It's not supposed to be so. So there is a way when you function together. Mr. Leo, if you permit me tonight, I want to read a Bible passage which it has much to do with what we're saying. Please, dear viewers, you might not be a Christian, you may be a Muslim, but listen to this, because there is wisdom in this that I want to read from the Bible. There is something that Solomon, that is the wisest king that ever lived, wrote in the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 4. Ecclesiastes chapter 4 from verse number 8. It says something. He says, there is one alone and there is not a second. Or let me use a different version. Say, this is the case of a man who is all alone, without a child or a brother, yet who works hard to gain as much wealth as he can. But then he asks himself, who am I working for? Why am I giving up so much pleasure now? It is also meaningless and depressing. Two people are better off than one, for they can help each other. Please, this verse 9 is very key. It says two people are better off than one because they can help each other. That is to say, collectivity is better than individuality, because when you want to act individually, there is a way your strength can fail you without you reaching some goals that you have in life. It continues to say that if one person falls, the other can reach out and help. But someone who falls alone is in real trouble. And it says, likewise, two people lying close together can keep each other warm. But how can one be warm alone? A person standing alone can be attacked and defeated, but two can stand back to back and conquer. Three are even better, for a triple-braided cord is not easily broken. This is my philosophy when it comes to all of this. A couple that has little and can put their heads together and work in agreement will see this little grow, more than a couple that has much and are always as sixes and as sevens. They are always in disagreement. This couple, the much that they have, will end up dwindling until it gets finished. An atmosphere of rancor, an atmosphere of disagreement is a very enabling atmosphere for Satan. When you don't agree, Satan has, in fact, that is a very, it looks to Satan like mud is to the pig. When you are in disagreement, your home will be that kind of enabling environment and atmosphere for him to be able to slot in his agenda. And as he's slotting his agenda, some of the things begin as if they are small, and they tend to grow big onto a point where they grow out of proportion. And you see, a couple will live together and they will not be talking to one another. A couple will be together and everybody is just doing his own thing and going. In fact, how do we even get to a point where a woman poisons her husband, or a man poisons his wife? How do we get to that point? It is because they could not manage themselves, and then they get to a point where they think, if I eliminate him or eliminate her, I will surely be able to enjoy this property all alone, and I may get married to somebody who is better than this one. I will be able to enjoy life better. It is because little things began to happen and they took them for granted and they grew out of proportion. In marriage, there is a possibility for enlargement to take place. It can be positive enlargement, as it can be negative enlargement. It all depends on how you manage your relationship. It all depends on how much you want to sacrifice and work for it. We have said here that marriage is a chantier. The more you work for it, the better it will tend to turn out. But the more you allow things that you are careless about it, you are sure that you are in for very, very serious trouble.
Okay, I'll take some messages. Greetings, Mr. Leo, Rita, writing from Amanda. I fell in love with the guy and we started a very serious relationship. No, good evening in the house. I'm so grateful for the program. Please, I need help. I had a boyfriend and promised me marriage, and when we get there, one day we wanted to have sex. I read that already also. This one says, good evening, Mr. Leo. I'm 18 years and my breasts have fallen. If a man wants to marry, will he complain? Okay, good evening, Mr. Leo. I'm called Karen from Douala. I have a man that I have been dating for 10 years, but the man is making people to know. I took that one already also. Good evening, Mr. Leo. I got married to my husband. He is having a child out. I love the child, but my husband said if I love the child, I must love the mother of that child. Just take note, you will respond to her. Okay, good evening, Mr. Leo. I met this lady. I love her so much, but I realized she wants to be in a relationship with my second cousin. But we love each other so much, but she feels uncomfortable, especially when my cousin is around. Please, what should I do? Brandon is writing from Douala. Good evening, my people. In the house, individualism defeats the very purpose of the married state. All success and failures are supposed to be taken by both parties equally. This is the meaning of two becoming one. Terence is writing from Gaundal. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I have a girl that I love and I want her to get married to, but I discovered that she has gone out with my cousin for some time. Please, what can I do? Is it not a sin for me to do that? Thank you. As Kum Leonard is writing from Benakuma, Menchum. Okay, that is Menchum Valley, subdivision, Menchum division. Okay. Good evening to you all in the studio. Is it a must that a wife gives all her earnings to her husband and lets the man decide what to give her as allowance? Karin is writing from Lime. Karin, that's a fat lie. Good evening, Mr. Kum and crew members. I'm married for 34 years, but we have never been blessed with a baby. I later came to realize my partner was aware of being impotent, but couldn't let me know. I need a child to inherit my property, but do not want to divorce her. What advice can you give me? Banan is writing from Bamenda. Good evening, Mr. Leo. I'm Kali from Boya. I have been having failed relationships, and now I have another guy. But after we had sex for the first time, he has been giving me attitude, so I really don't know what to do. I always try everything possible to make all my relationships work, but it would end up failing. I really need help, sir. Go for prayers. Good evening. I have my friend, which she loves me and I love him, but we do not have to express our feelings. Brian is writing from Babisi. Brian, you don't have liver. Good evening, Mr. Leo. I'm enjoying the program. I'm Elvis writing from Bamenda. Please, I need help. I'm with a girl I wish to marry, and I love her so much, but there is a girl who is in love with me, but I don't want her. But she came to my house in my absence and started insulting my wife to be. Please advise me on what to do. Thank you. God bless you, sir. So many problems out there.
There is a particular one I would really like to begin with. Yeah, the man who says he has been married for 34 years without an issue. Yeah, and you say he needs a child that will inherit his property. I want to advise that you should go for adoption. Adopt a child. Yeah, if you adopt a child or adopt some children and bring them up, show them love, they could turn out to even be better than children that came out of your womb. Understand? Children are given by God. It is true your spouse did not knew and did not tell you from the onset. Yeah, it happens. So now that it has already happened, don't demonize her, forgive her, move on. But you can agree with her. You adopt a child, bring the child up, and get the child, to be a part of the family, the way the child can be, and you still be happy.
Okay, but there are so many worries that were expressed. I think you should attempt some of them. Good evening, Mr. Kum. Kelly from I have been failed. Okay, Kelly has had so many failed relationships.
Is this the person who said they had sex once? One of the things that she might be having as a challenge in her relationship, I think, is that the person who said she should go for prayers.
Yes.
That is just one of the aspects. One of the things that make people to have these failed relationships may not just necessarily be spiritual. Some can be the way they drive themselves along. I always advise people that two people can meet and they make a very good pair, but due process is an important aspect of the marital journey. You don't get you don't meet somebody and the next thing is you've opened up to him to sleep with you as you've done with this other person, and after he has slept with you. Why is he making attitudes bad after he has slept with you? It means there is something around the sleeping he has slept with you. How? Maybe he has, after sleeping with you, he thinks you are cheaper than he thought. Because that's how some men behave.
Yeah, but she says that has been the trend.
And that's what I'm saying, that it may be that the way she goes about the relationships may be just the issue. So I want to advise that next time, or the next relationship, as you say yes to the man, make sure that you agree with the man, so that you people start premarital counseling. Prayers is really part of the package. And that's one thing people don't understand. When you advise that people should go for premarital counseling, they start telling you how they have read books, they have attended seminars. They have their place. Reading books, attending seminars, they have their place. But each relationship has its peculiarities. So you must be able to walk with somebody who is going to guide you, who is going to, speak with you, who is going to give you the practical orientation that is peculiar to your relationship, and have time to also pray with you and give you what it takes for you to succeed in that particular relationship.
Okay. So there is this one who says that the husband has a child outside, and the husband is imposing that if you love this child, you must also love the mother.
Come again, that the
husband has a child
outside.
Yes, but they are married today, and she loves this child. But the husband says, if you love this child, you must also love the mother. The
man is wicked, and the lady. In fact, everybody who loves her husband like that lady, it is not every lady who even accepts to love the child and maybe want the child to come in. So if she has done that, she has done much already. That man should be able to reshape his thinking, his wickedness, to think that because she loves the child, she must love the mother. In other words, he is saying that if that be the case, he wants to take the woman, the child's mother, as a second wife, or keep as a permanent side chick. So that's wickedness. The lady should not accept such a thing. If that be the case, okay, I will no longer love the child. If I'm the woman, I will no longer love the child.
Okay, let's take the last intervention of Mrs. Sasanji Iveta from Bamenda.
Mr. Leo, to conclude on this topic, I want to say that we cannot keep doing things the same way and expect different results. We cannot keep, making our marriages, living anyhow in our marriages, and expect those marriages to work. You have always heard that marriage is work. Unfortunately, people don't want to work for their marriages to become what they want, but they rather live anyhow and expect that the marriage will automatically work on its own. I always say that marriage is like, you get married, it's like they're giving you an empty basket. Yeah, this is the garden, give you an empty basket. Pluck whatever you want to pluck and put in that basket. It is your basket forever. So if you choose to pluck thorns, you have thorns in your marriage. If you choose to pluck roses, you equally have roses in your marriage. So what is it that you want to see in your marriage? Cultivate more of that thing. If you want to see teamwork, build that spirit of teamwork in your marriage. Sometimes it is the wives that want to work with the husbands, and the husbands are not willing to work with the wives. Sometimes it is the husbands that want to work with the wives, and the wives are not willing to cooperate and work with the husbands. But we cannot, marriage cannot succeed with individual efforts. Marriage cannot succeed with individual success. Everybody celebrating their own success, everybody celebrating their own failure. If you look at God's idea about marriage, like I said, God wanted the husband and the wife to work hand in glove. So it is time for us to change the way we have been doing things. That is what I am. That's what I'm standing for. I'm standing for a new kind of marriage, like new kind of marriages. Marriages built on transparency, marriages built on truth, marriages built on teamwork, marriages built on love, submission, respect. What is it that you want to see in your marriage? You are the one to start it. That change starts with you. You cannot keep doing it the way you've been doing it and expect that it's going to work. It cannot work on its own. It needs somebody to make it work. And it needs the efforts of the both parties. No matter how a couple succeeds individually, their success can never be as compared to when they choose to work together. A couple that works together, even the Bible says it. It said, whatever two people on earth agree on, whatever two people agree on earth, it shall be done to them by their Father in heaven. Whatever two people agree on earth. So there is a strong force when it comes to a husband and a wife in being in one agreement. If you look at the story of the people, they were building a tower that wanted to reach heaven. You see that the Bible says they were speaking one language. It shows that that's to say that they were working as a team. They were working in synergy. If a husband and a wife could work together as a team, I bet you what they can achieve, individually they cannot achieve it. Because I might have great ideas, yes. But if I don't open up to hear what my husband has to say about those ideas, I might miss out on something. And take note, as human beings, we all have what we are good at. I might not be good at something, but my husband is good at. He might not be good at something, and I am good at. Now, teamwork comes in where, he does what he's good at and leave me to do the part that I am good at. It is all for the success of the family. So success that is registered individually can never reach the success that is registered as a couple. Who are you working with? Unfortunately, some people work with their side chicks. Some men, yes. Some men are married, but they work with their side chicks and achieve projects with their side chicks, and their wife is kept at the back. Some women, they work with their side dudes, side guys, or they work with their individual families or friends. This is not what God wanted marriages to be. So the earlier we keep our differences, women keep their differences, men keep their differences, and then you come to an understanding that God made you and I to come together as one so that we can work as one. We can share our ideas. If we're having a project, we are on this project together. I mean, the kind of project, we work in a way that if you work and leave the work halfway and you're not there, I can come and pick up from where you've ended without necessarily calling to ask you that, what is it I have to do here? In fact, just looking at it, I know that from what we talk about, this is where we are already and this is where we have to continue. So teamwork will yield greater success. And even if there is failure, it will not be a one-man's failure, it will be a collective failure. Yes, we both failed. It will not be a blame game of you failed, I failed, but it will be like we both failed or we both succeeded. And if couples are working as a team, I tell you, the guarantee of them succeeding is higher than the chances of them failing. So that's just my take on this topic, Mr. Leo.
Much, Mr. Sandri. Yvette, there are two persons who wrote concerning the fact that the one first wrote that he discovered that the girlfriend went out with his second cousin, and that anytime the cousin is around, she does not feel comfortable. And then another person wrote from Benakuma that he's with the girl and discovered that girl had gone out with the cousin, and is asking whether it is sin. This issue of going out with a girl who had gone out with their cousin, and most of them, they're confused.
Who had gone or who is going? Because there is
they are actually in relationships. This one says, I'm going out with this lady, but the lady had gone out with my second cousin, and anytime the second cousin is around, she does not feel comfortable. This guy from Benakuma says, I am in a relationship and with a lady, and discovered that the lady had gone out with a cousin, and is asking whether it is sinful going out with a lady who had gone out with your cousin?
Well, I think these relationships are incestuous. That's the incest, having sexual relations with people who are related by blood. Because when you talk about relationships, there are two dimensions. You have what you call relationship by affinity, which is relationship by marriage, and then relationship by consanguinity, that's relationship by blood. Yeah, so when you have relationship, a sexual intercourse or sexual activity relationship with somebody who is related within the framework of by blood, relationship by blood, it is incestuous. So for me, they should redefine whether they are to continue in such relationships, because they are not good. There are some traditions in Africa, even I think in Cameroon. Let me talk for Cameroon, that I know a little. There are some traditions in Cameroon that if there's some traditional formalities are not done on both of them, they say they tend to inherit some curses by virtue of this. Recently, I have a case where a relationship was ruptured because the parents discovered that these two people were related. Like, let's say two people have left the village and they're in Douala. They didn't know themselves as cousins. They entered into a relationship.
Yeah, but this is different.
I'm just relating to it, that with that the parents said they must stop the relationship automatically, else they are going to inherit some curses. So it has to do with relationship. You are having a relationship with somebody who is
not related to you.
But there is a spiral relationship. You are going out with the person is going out with your cousin.
Okay, the person had gone out with your cousin.
Okay, had gone out with your cousin.
Yes, that is, this guy says, I am with this lady. And I later discovered that the lady had an affair with my second cousin. And that anytime the second cousin comes around, this lady is not comfortable. This other one says that I am in a relationship, but I discovered that this lady also had an affair with my cousin.
For me, these are not the only partners are in the world. They should separate and marry other people. That's my advice. They should separate and marry other people, so that the ambiguities are laid to rest.
Okay, there are some very serious issues I would like you to also address here. I'm Rose from Mutengene. I have this problem. I am married to a guy and we signed monogamy. Now I discovered that he has married secretly after the mother-in-law told me her son must marry another woman. I saw pictures and videos in which I saw my husband and relatives in the ceremony. What do I do? The mother-in-law says I should go.
This marriage she's talking about, is it traditional or civil?
So we signed monogamy.
I mean, this marriage to the second marriage, because if it is civil, if this second marriage is civil, by law it is what you call a voidable marriage. It's a marriage that cannot hold, because the man is in an active monogamous marriage. So that marriage does not have any grounds. So she, at that level, but in front of the law, she has a point. But then if it is just traditional, at that level, because traditional marriages are, by default, they are polygamous by their nature. So in that case, it is for her to choose whether she wants to live in a polygamous marriage or she wants to walk away from it. So it is her choice as to it. And why should the man be married to her, and then be married to another lady? Could it be that there are some deficiencies? Is she not giving birth? Is the man complaining of her character? What has the marriage not been working well, and stuff? Maybe they will want to sit down and discuss all of this. Or did they discuss on them before the man went ahead to get married? The questions are many. So,
good evening, Mr. Liu and the other panelists. I have a girlfriend. We met in Kumba, so we started dating. I left Kumba and came to Douala for studies. By then, she never had a phone, so I gave her my number to reach me anytime she got a phone or go to call box. But she has never. Until a year later, I met with her sister in Douala. While I was asking her about her sister, she said her sister just gave birth. I now took her contact. Unfortunately, we started chatting. I still love her even though she has had a child with someone else, but all of the sudden she doesn't talk. Oops, stop the calls, please. All of a sudden, with someone else, but all of a sudden she doesn't talk to me again. Did I go wrong somewhere? Is she not the one to apologize to me because I kept the relationship faithful? Sorry for the long message. You did not do anything wrong. Maybe she's just in love with someone else now.
I don't really know. This Mr. Leo, how can you be concluding that he didn't do anything wrong?
No, because even after cheating on the guy, because the guy says he's been faithful, but says that even after she's the one who cheated, and then he's still coming back.
Cheating is not the only challenge that we have in relationships. Maybe after they came back together like that, could it be he is throwing words? Could it be the lady has discovered that they came back
where?
No, he said they came back with chat and they were discussing now. He said they were discussing. They resumed discussion when he took his contact, and then all of a sudden she's not talking to him again. Right? So it could be that in the course of time the woman got in touch with other people and discovered that she was gunning for a lizard of which she could have a crocodile. And she has had a better man than him. So in such a case, this issue of, for me, when some people send somebody and say, I still love him, I still love her, I wonder a lot there.
Okay.
Yes, there are things that you move on with life.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu. How do we solve a problem of a woman who is financially independent and refuses to join her husband who have been transferred to a different remote town because she says she can't abandon her job because she does not know if she will have another job? Does the man have the right to remarry because of her decision?
Well, not remarrying because of her decision, but the issue is that, I don't know, because some women are listening to us, that they also have to know, to understand how it happens. The law in Cameroon gives the man the right to determine domicile. The man is the one who is supposed to determine where the family is supposed to live. So anything apart from this is supposed to be a result of dialogue. You discuss with your husband, and then you people see how you can be navigating between the two stations if you people agree. But to say a woman refuses to stay, no, it is not allowed that a woman should refuse to follow the husband where he's supposed to live if there is no serious challenge that may be leading to a threat to life. Then in this case, from the man's side, the man should be able to see how they can dialogue. Both of them are supposed to see, because one thing people don't understand in these things is that there are priorities that you must assign to your life. If a job is more important than marriage, you should give that job the place it deserves then. But if family life, for which we know that is why people are working, is more important, you can always see how you manage the things that have to link to do with your career. If you are so radical about the issue that you will not have another job, will you also have another marriage if you remain back in town and allow the man in a remote area? So these are things that people are supposed to be more level-headed when they are approaching them and considering and thinking over them.
Okay, there is this Mr. Sone who wrote from Tomber, who says that the wife abandoned the home for 10 years now, asking whether he should remarry. Another man is writing that the wife also abandoned for 20 years. She's not been back. How do they sort things out? They stay faithful?
Are they still connected? They should be able to bring things to, because if they are still connected, they may want to initiate a dialogue, discuss with the lady, and see whether the lady has actually moved out. If it is from the legal platform, I think there is what they call a bailiff who come and observe. The Frenchman says do a constat d'abandon de foyer. That's observe that the woman has abandoned the home. I think for 2 months or so, it can give grounds for divorce. But now that we don't really preach divorce, now that is an isolated case in which you may want to discuss with the lady, if the lady is still accessible, and then understand why she has left the home. If there are things that can be fixed, they be fixed. If not, then you can chart the way for other decisions. But it's usually very tricky to just give a straight answer on this, because there are other things that need to be tackled when it comes to discussing such issues between a couple. For a woman to have just abandoned her home 10 years, it wouldn't be for nothing. If it's that she's just being ambitious, okay, that's the reason. But if it is that there was a serious challenge, some people also cry foul on air like this, of which they are the reason for which the woman has left. So it has to be with it has to do with them coming together to discuss and see how the broken bridges can be mended for things to take its course again.
Okay, we want to thank you for coming, and to all of you who watched this edition of the program, and also to you, Mr. Sanji Yvette, who came in from Menda, the regional capital of the Northwest region. And we also want to thank Desmond and Eli for production this evening. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.